one of the things that I've learned is over the last 10 years, commodities have moved up about 7%. So we've had inflation in commodities, oil, gold, you name it, it's gone up. Well, why hasn't it registered in the CPI if we've had commodities going up 7%, but the inflation is only showing 2.4? The reason is that the biggest cost of inflation is human labor. In any products, it costs between 60 to 80%. And there's the rub, as you probably note in your salaries, most salaries haven't gone up for the last 5 years. So you're not going to get wage inflation until salaries go up. And the studies show that people aren't even, from a real rate of return, from an inflation-adjusted point, the salaries aren't even back to 207. So for 5 years, salaries have been stagnant. Now, if the average median income in the United States is $50,000 and somebody has to pay more for gas and they don't have any more money coming in, they spend more for gas and they spend less on food or on clothing or other things. So the commodity prices will eventually average itself out as people spend more on energy and less on other things. Matter of fact, the commodity index hit a high of 700 on the index last year, and it's been coming down just as gold has been coming down because the effects have already started to percolate through. So first of all, you're not going to have as much commodity inflation going forward. It's already discounting this. And the second thing is you're not going to have much in wage inflation, and I'm going to show you why. Over the last 6 months and over the last year, we've averaged 180,000 new jobs a month. But there's 110,000 new people coming into the economy who are looking for jobs. So if you take 180,000, you take 110 that are coming in, that leaves you with 70,000 people that are really getting net jobs. After we take the people coming in, we only end up with 70,000. Now, in order to get tight labor markets to where people can negotiate and get raises, we're going to need to get the unemployment down to about 6.5%, and that's going to have to take 4 million jobs. Now, if you take 4 million jobs before you get a tight labor market, before you get wage inflation, and you're only producing 70,000 a month, it's going to take you 4 years and 9 months before you get a tight labor market. During that time, it is Bernanke's desire that during that time, he's got plenty of time to move this money out. Now, whether he does it or not, I don't know. But from what I can see by reading the Fed minutes, you can see that there are a lot of people on the Federal Reserve Board that are very concerned that we're going to pull this money out. I do not believe that it is possible for them to keep that money in once inflation starts showing. Lyndon Johnson had control of Arthur Burns, the Federal Reserve Chairman at that time, and he pretty much controlled him and allowed him to keep that money in. But I don't think that it is politically feasible for the Federal Reserve to pull a repeat of 1970, especially when so many people who lived through that area are still out there voicing their opinion. However, if they do leave it in, then those people who are predicting high inflation will be right. If they pull it out, which I've showed you, we've got plenty of time, you're not going to have any problems. So that's the inflation thing. You watch what the Federal Reserve's going to do. If they start to remove those reserves out, you can quit worrying about inflation until you have a tight labor market.